You get to just, there's an episode where Tough Nut gets bitten by he thinks he gets bitten by a were-dragon, and he's turning into
a lichen wing.
A lichen wing. That's what it's called, yeah.
And he thinks he's turning into a dragon. Yeah. And at the full moon, he's going to become a dragon, and he's going to eat all his friends.
Yeah.
So he locks himself in a...
You saw Chicken in the thing. He locks himself in with Chicken. And
him and Chicken are locked in a pen.
Yeah.
And then he breaks out and goes across the forest, and he's going to... When he turns into a lichen wing, he's going to leap off the highest point. And
they have to stop him.
They have to stop him. I mean, it's...
There's some really fun episodes we get to do, you know. And we break the season. We sort of, you know, we have a board and we look at it, and we're always like, okay, who haven't we had in a while?
Yeah.
You know, obviously you're gonna have your Hiccup and Toothless centric episodes, but then you're like, okay, we need an Astrid episode. Let's have a fish.
Or we've never put Tough Nut and Astrid together.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
Or we've never put Snot Loud and Fish Legs alone together. Let's do that.
That's always fun to pair them up.
Yeah.
We were discussing, you know, the technology and how, you know, a couple of years you could advance.
Oh, yeah.
By leaps and bounds.
It's amazing.
When you were writing an episode, does that ever come into consideration, like what you can and can't do?
All the time.
All the time, but our visual effects supervisor says to us, keep writing things that we can't do. So that's our job, is to push the envelope. Obviously, and we don't ever have our writers do that. We let them write. We don't worry them with that because we just want their creative process to go. Then he and I will come in. If we'll push the envelope, if we can't do it, then he and I will figure out, okay, what can we do, and we'll adjust it accordingly.
Yeah, but it helps them if we write stuff they can't do to be forced to invent new ways to do it. And our effects supervisor literally writes the programs that allow us to do some of the things we do. And it's, you know, it's amazing what is difficult in CG animation, like a building breaking apart or going underwater, but, you know, going underwater like this is really difficult.
Like underwater you can do, underwater, above water.
But going into the water, entering the water is very difficult.
Yeah.
Or
character density is a big thing.
Lots of...
have a lot of characters. If we have all our kids and dragons and in one shot, that's a lot of animation going on. Okay, so everybody has to be animated. So that's very time consuming for our animators. So you have to be conscious of that stuff. You know, how do you shoot a scene where you can do a quick setup and then go in for closer shots, more manageable, you know, and that's where our directors come in.
But at the center of it all is the story. I mean, if you're telling a good story, there's always a way to do it. We always figure out a way to make it look good and
other stuff. Sometimes you go, we can't. All right, we can't use a new location because we've used a lot of them. So how do we reuse a location and dress it differently? It's very similar. He and I started in live action, and 3D animation is very similar to that because everything costs.
Everything's real. You know,
a prop is a prop.
A prop is a prop. It just lives in a virtual world, but it. You know, everything is real, so you sort of have to think of it like that.
So our background helps with that because, you know, sometimes you shoot something and you know you need a crowd, but you go, okay, if we shoot it a certain way and we use sound design to tease the crowd, you'll get, you know, do a quick couple shots, set it up, and then you get the feeling of the crowd around.
But in 3 or 4 years,
they
won't matter. They won't matter. I think they'll be able to do whatever they want, basically.
I know that Jay has a background in voice work back in his hometown, early on in his career. But was it challenging for you guys to cast somebody who would sound like Jonah Hill, who would sound like Craig, who would sound like Gerard Butler? What was that process like?
We were just talking about that before. You know, there's always a decision to be made when you cast a voice alike or a new actor. Sometimes you get lucky. Sometimes the people who can match the voices and are great actors. Sometimes you need to forego the voice match because you don't want them worrying about that. You want them acting. So like with Jonah, it's hard to match Jonah. It's very specific. So
we auditioned hundreds of people.
Yeah.
Couldn't find anyone even came close.
Wow.
And we ended up casting this guy Zach Perlman to do Snot Loud, and he has his own voice, but he has the attitude, and it's in the general range, but he, you know.
But he's also a little more maniacal and a little more, you know, not as cool and not as
wackier. You
Yeah,
know?
which is great for the show.
Yeah, because we always want to lean into that. But like the guys that do Stoke and Gobber, you know, are great. You know, they
Yeah.
sound alike, but even in the sound alikes, like our Stoic, I feel, and this is sometimes just how they wanted to direct him in the movies. It has nothing to do with anybody's acting ability, but Gerard Butler was much sterner and didn't have a whole lot of warmth to him and comedy to him, and we've been able to do that.
But he wasn't supposed to.
He was,
you know?
yeah.
And he's, you know, he played that big, powerful chief very, very well. But
Yeah.
ours, you know, we examined that relationship so closely. We needed a warmth and a.
Yeah.
So we're very lucky to get the guys we got.
And again, it goes to having to spend hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of minutes. I mean, with these characters, you have to find levels for them. Like, we have to find new ways of comedy for the twins. You know, hitting each other in the head is fun for so long, but then you've got to find ways. How are these guys funny? Like, what makes them funny? You know, we've had these guys invent ice cream, gravity, like just in their own idiotic way.
Penicillin.
Yeah, penicillin, moldy bread. But we're always having them. They do episodes where they're the Greek chorus in an episode where they're talking about theater and excellent job. You know.
Wonderful climax.
You know, there's an episode we just wrote where they're Thorsten and Thorsten, like sleuth detectives, you know. So we're always finding ways to make it really funny and to give them a point of view.
And I'm glad you mentioned fun and funny, because as much as I liked How to Train a Dragon 2, the tone was kind of dark. It was, you know, Drago, you know, finding a mom, and then Stoic's death. It was very, you know, but I like how this.
Yeah, the movies, you just don't really have the time to explore the funniness and the other characters. I mean, it's gotta go.
Remember, Hiccup's the straight man.
Yeah. Hiccup is the straight man.
Comedy comes
Hiccup is Seinfeld. Hiccup is Jerry Seinfeld. And his little group are all Elaine and Kramer and all those guys. So when you take those guys away,
because you don't have time to service them in 90 minutes.
Yeah.
You just don't. You have the dad, Hiccup, Astrid, Toothless, Drago. I mean, you're done, right? The mom.
You know, the mom was not a barrel laughs, you know.
Right. Yeah.
But she wasn't supposed to be.
Yeah. But we're able to, that's what's fun about the shows, we're able to lighten it up.
Yeah, we are very lucky in that we get the time to do that. And it's, you know, unfortunate for in the movies that they're not, but that's, you know, what are you going to do? That's why they have us.
Yeah, I guess.
Now, with the streaming on Netflix, do you have to take into account all of the high-definition TVs? Because I recently upgraded to a newer TV, and I noticed things look quite a bit different on that.
It's hard to take into account all the TVs. I mean, you have to, you know, sound-wise, we do it in 5.1.
And Netflix has a very specific
their parameter
for sound. But they're, you know, the high-def files, it's going to look better on Netflix than it ever looked on broadcast.
For sure.
Because it's not coming down from a satellite. So, or whatever. I mean, it always loses quality as it gets broadcast. Whereas this gets delivered over the internet, so you're seeing the best quality that there is to offer, which is cool.
And it always, the show, you know, we keep it at a certain level, and then it will look different on almost every TV. You put it on, I mean, TVs are so, you know, you go into a Best Buy or something, right? You look at it,
And they all look
same
different.
show, they all look different. So, but, you know, we output it at a high quality, and so it's made for.
It's made to look great.
Yeah. And we just screened the first few episodes in the theater at DreamWorks, and it blew up really well too. So on a big level.
So if you happen to have a 60-foot screen,
you know that screening room you got in your house?
fear not.
You know.
And you already, you know, you guys mentioned there's going to be a third movie. You have two seasons?
It's actually 4 mini seasons. It's 4 drops of 13. first is in June, then the second one is later in the year.
Yeah, I think it's like every 6 months or so, there'll be another 13.
So there'll be 4 drops of 13.
So are there already conversations about what the next series is going to be? Or?
Not with us.
There's
we haven't
probably
heard.
going to be. I mean, there's little stuff of, things that
We
may-
hope there is. I
Yeah.
mean, we would love to keep doing it. There's no definitive plan so far, but, it certainly wouldn't be the worst thing.
You're not completely tapped out of Dragon stories yet.
No,
You got a
I
few
got
more
a
in
ton
there.
more.
You got more in there,
I
yeah.
got a ton more.
You mentioned how sometimes it takes technology a little bit to catch up to the creative process. Was there anything that hit the floor story-wise that you wish was going to make it this season that maybe might pop up in the next 3?
There's stuff that didn't make it earlier that
That
we've
made
got,
it later.
that made it in these seasons.
Yeah.
That's cool. There's been a number of storylines and stuff that for one reason or another we got to revisit, and I think it was a combination of where we were going and the timing and the trust that the studio had with us to do it. And there's things we fight for.
Yeah.
There's things that we go to battle for, and they're pretty cool about it. If we really feel strongly,
They'll let us try it.
they'll let us try it.
Yeah.
They'll say, do the outline, okay, do the script, and and we prove it to them. And you do that enough times, then they keep your trust builds. But yeah, there's a lot of. We haven't had anything yet. There's stuff we fought for that we thought was on the floor,
Yeah.
that we revived.
Yeah. Yeah. If you wait long enough, they forget.
They do. You just turn it
They
back
forget
in,
they
and
turned
you're
it
like,
down.
oh, this is
Oh
great.
my God, I love this.
Why were we ever against this?
Yeah, I can't believe it. How'd you guys come up with that? I don't know.
Any more pressing questions, maybe a couple?
One question that I have is, what character on the series that, in the movies, that you're really able to sort of expand and let everyone get to know in the new, sorry, let me start over again. What character do we get to know in the series that you got glimmers or got to see or wasn't even in the movie?
I think
Tough
all
Nut.
the kids.
Tough
Nut.
Nut for sure, because
Yeah.
Tough Nut, T.J. Miller is a comic genius. I mean, the guy can read the phone book,
And make it
it's
funny.
funny.
Yeah.
I mean,
He'll
seriously.
improv the phone
Yeah,
book.
yeah.
He's
We let him
literally a
play. We let him
genius.
improv. We know how to write for him now, and so we're already in a back and forth. And I think, again, with the movie, in the second movie, they focused in on Rough Nut over Tough Nut with her stuff with Eric, and I think Tough Nut got a little left out, and Fish Legs a little bit. So, those characters really come to the forefront in our show because can only do so many Hiccup and Toothless stories. So,
Yeah.
in 52 episodes, you're going to have quite a few. I'd say probably 1 or 2 stories about the other kids in every 13.
Yeah.
I would say, probably like 8 stories
Yeah.
about the other kids and 5 stories with Hiccup and Toothless, something like that. So you get a real taste of them.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, you guys.
Thanks,
Awesome
guys.
meeting you
Congratulations.
all.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you.